Hey, everybody. Today for you, podcast number 49. Today's podcast is titled The Boot, the Bread, and the Road. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of your weekly Limitless Life Network podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Lombardi, and back with me again this week is my lovely wife, my beautiful wife, Sandy Lombardi.
Hello.
Yes, I know people really missed you last week, Sandy. Yeah, I got a lot of comments about that. Oh, it's too bad your wife wasn't on. Yeah, I know. I'm not that great. Anyway, thanks for joining us. I want to take a moment to always start the show off with gratitude and thanking you for taking some time to listen. We try to keep these podcasts in that 20-minute mark so that we don't take up all of your day, but we're hoping to bring you some good content each and every week that is uplifting, inspiring, and keeps you moving toward your goals and reaching the life that you were called to serve and live. Yes, any comments that you want to leave online, it's totally welcome. And hit the subscribe button if you're not already watching on YouTube or the other channels. But anyway, let's get on with it. I don't want to ramble too much here because there's so much great content to cover today. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so the backstory is very interesting today. Let's start with the title, The Boot, the Bread, and the Road. How did we come up with that title just 2 minutes ago? We did just think of it 2 minutes ago, literally. So, yeah.
I think it's a little spin on a book I'm reading that you thought it was funny.
Yes, I did. So I looked at a couple of the points and pulled out a couple of nouns. And she's reading a book called what? What is it?
It's The Rock, the Rabbi, and The Rock, the Rabbi, and the Road.
Yes, yeah. So a really good book. I've heard many fond things out of your mouth about that. So, so what's our backstory besides the title today? What have you been up to this past week? What's been on your mind? Anything that's been, I guess, noteworthy in this past week?
Yeah, we had a big high on Monday, as many of you already know, but our first grandchild was born Monday evening to Nate and Sam Brooks. So that was absolute highlight of our week. And then life keeps staying real. and hence my missing on Tuesday because we got thrown a little curveball. Maybe you guys had a curveball in your week. And so that's my first point. Is that there are joys and challenges mixed right together. And that's life, right, for all of us. And so how do we handle that? And how do we respond to those things? And I'll be the first to admit, I let it really rattle me for a good 24 hours. And then perspective sets in, and thankfully, at least I was able to put things in perspective. And usually it wasn't a good night's sleep, so I can't even say that. But I think time helps us to reflect and look at things from a little bit step back at times.
Yeah, that's true. Time does. I mean, you've heard the saying, "Time heals all wounds." I don't know if it really heals them all, but there's definitely scars, right?
Yeah.
From certain situations. So I guess there is some healing that takes place. I mean, we have scars that are left over when we get cut, right? And you heal from that. But.
Well, and we can step back, I think, from the emotions that we're feeling from an immediate, something you're not expecting happens. You can all think of something. And then if we can step away from the emotional reaction and just break it down, I think that's what helped me,
Yeah, breaking it down logically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I try to do. Yeah. Well, and I think we were going to make another point today, but we didn't include it, and that is we all have different giftings.
Right.
So that's easier for some people than others. And I would say that I approach things that are off script, things that are surprises a lot more, a lot less emotion with a lot more logic to handle
For
a
sure.
stressful situation. So sometimes I need to know a little bit more emotion,
No,
but
it's a good balance for
yeah,
us.
it
'Cause,
is.
yeah.
So that's what makes us a good team. All right, so that was point number one: joys and challenges. How do you handle them? And so your advice would be to give it some time, and take a deep breath, and let's look at things logically. Yeah, good. What about point number two? Point number two is we talk about this is where we get the title boots from. So, what were you thinking here?
The point was what? Boots.
Boots of
Boots of
peace.
peace.
Yes, this is a good one.
So this Sunday, we had someone from our congregation give the message. Our pastor was away, and he was speaking on Ephesians 6 and the armor of God, putting on the armor of God, and really getting us to think about it has to be something that we're doing continually to be prepared for the events. It could be like what just I kind of give you a vague description of what happened this past week, right? Something that rattled me. So what am I doing to prepare for that time? And the last thing is that you put on the boots of peace. So you're putting on your battle, your armor, right? And we think of battle and fierce, and we're going to jump into a situation ready to fight, aggressive, right? But the end of that chapter is that you put on the boots of peace. And that, I think he was saying, many of us can miss that, in that we're ready for battle, but we come to the battle with boots of peace, that we are to step into a situation to diffuse the level of intensity, not to escalate it. We stand in truth, but yet we're there to benefit the situation and not, in a negatively way, escalate it again.
Right, adding fuel to the fire, which is the easiest thing to do, because that's more of like an emotional approach where I'm going to come in here and I'm going to enact, I'm going to exercise my will and my force, and I'm going to, I'm going to win. I'm going to win the confrontation. But I like the boots of peace. What are you walking in on? If you're walking in on the boots of peace, that means that you're going to maintain a calm. There's going to be a calm over you. And that's not something that's done on your own. And that's where I think that's where you have to be, allow the Holy Spirit to work through you in those situations, because that's really tough to do on your own, right?
I had a mom call this morning, and this is so appropriate, and she was really upset with something that had happened with one of her kids, that someone put them in a situation that they shouldn't have, and just really fired up. And so I kind of shared that message with her, like, yes, her emotions were valid, but if she brought that intensity to the individual, it was just going to be probably not a great outcome.
Right.
So, just encouraged her that if she could come at it in a peaceful manner, that there could be some good, and that the situation might be prevented for someone else, because they would be open to receiving her feedback.
Yeah, and that's what everybody really wants, right? Like if you think about somebody approaching you with something maybe you were out of line with, how would you want to how would you like it handled? Would you like them to come in and attack you, or would you like them to come in there and give you an opportunity to learn?
Yeah, have a conversation.
Exactly. Because we can all make mistakes, and we can all learn from those mistakes. So, all right, very good. Well done. All right. So, point number 3 is shifting gears a little bit, but the point is really about the idea of giving up on an idea before you even start. And this is something that we were just chatting about the other day. So you want to bring us up to speed on that one?
Yeah. I was talking to Nate and his wife, Sam, and they went for their first pediatrician's visit, and they're down in Atlanta. And they found a chiropractor that has a pediatric nurse practitioner in their practice, and that's where they took their baby. And I was just very jealous. I thought, oh gosh, I would love that here in New York. And I'm like, just another nick against some of the things in New York that we don't like. And but I said to people, you know what? Maybe we can do that. And So I thought the point is that, maybe you can. Maybe there's something in your life that maybe you're envious that someone else is doing something, or there's a dream you just keep putting on hold. Well, maybe you can, So
Right.
like that's one thing I really want to see us pursue. And we said, well, maybe we're going to do a little solicitation in this. But, if there's anyone in our area here that knows of a holistic pediatric nurse practitioner that has a holistic mindset about health, and that parents should have choices of different options in care, we would love to explore that possibility
Yeah.
within our chiropractic office for all of the young families that we see that are seeking options
Yeah.
in healthcare.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe that person exists out
And
there, and
you know them.
and you know them, and you could, get us in touch. That'd be great. All right. Point number 4. Unless you have anything else to say
Nope.
about that one. No. Yeah. Point number 4. I just came up with this idea of keep your eyes on the road. So last week I was in one of my readings, and I came across something that was super helpful for a couple of people that I spoke with. And in this reading, it was talking about Saul of Tarsus on the road to Damascus, and how he lost his eyesight. God struck him blind, and this was a man who wasn't doing good things. He was being terrible to he was persecuting Christians, and along the road he was struck blind. So which is really unusual. Why is he using this guy? And so
Don't be distracted.
I'm
It's
sorry, our
okay.
dog is barking because I think our son locked our dog in the garage below us where we're
We're going to
recording.
roll with it.
So
This is real life.
anyway, yeah. So if you hear a dog barking, it's just our dog Willow. She's probably trapped. So so yes, along comes this other guy, Ananias. God sends Ananias, and that name in the Hebrew means the grace of God. And Ananias touches Saul of Tarsus, and he gains his eyesight back. And when he opens his eyes, what is the first thing that he sees? He sees Ananias. He sees the grace of God. So it made me think is that, so many times in life we get hit with challenging situations, and they become all that we see. The situation is all that we see. And oftentimes the outcomes can be very bad, right? There can be a loss of a loved one. There can be loss of a job or a career. I just had 2 people yesterday tell me they were fired from their job. Their jobs were just being eliminated.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yes, and that's all you can think of and all you can see. But where's your focus? Your eyes are no longer on the road. They're distracted, right? So when I was about 10 years old, my mother was taking me to the store to get school supplies, and we were driving down Main Street on the way to the store. And my mother was driving, and as she was going down Main Street, she noticed a house that was either being renovated or had some flowers out in front of it. And she turns her head and she starts to talk about what lovely work is being done at this house. And she just really wanted to see everything. And she turned almost completely around, and then she drove right into a parked car and just totally crashed our car. And I was like, I didn't even, I saw the car coming, and I was like, stop, and it was too late. I mean, we just totally plowed into this car. And, but that's what happens in our life, is that we get so enamored with whatever's going on in our life that we lose the focus that, where are our eyes? Are our eyes on God? Because he can carry us through no matter what it is. No matter what it is, he's going to take care of us in the end. And so that was point number 4. Anything you want to add to that?
No, good
Yep.
point. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. All right. Point number 5 is another one that has to do with a reading that I just did this morning, actually, and it just was fresh in my mind. So I thought about it, and this is the bread, right? So we talked about the boot, we talked about the road, keeping your eyes on the road, but then this is out of order, but the bread. And you think about you know, the Eucharist is a term used oftentimes as representing the bread. But the Eucharist itself means thanks for the bread. It's giving thanks. And when we think about what that is that when Jesus prayed over that at the Last Supper, what was he being thankful for? That bread represented his body, but it also represented the suffering and his death. So he literally, prayed thanksgiving over his suffering and his death. So we think about in our own lives, like it's really easy to be thankful for great things, right?
It was easy to be thankful for Brooks.
Yeah, that was really easy to be
Not
thankful
the
for that.
curveball that came.
Right. And so life is not an accumulation of bread, right? It's not an accumulation of possessions. I mean, if you're not thankful for what little you have, then how, what's going to happen when you have lots of things, So a life that is led when you're thankful for anything in your life is a greater life than a life where you have lots of things and you're not thankful for any of them. So when you approach your week this week, be thankful for everything, the little things, the big things, even the things that you really didn't want in the first place. Because I think that's going to give you a greater week and a greater life. So anything you want to add?
No. Have a great week.
Yeah, awesome.
Pleasure to share with you.
That's all for this week's edition of your weekly Limitless Life Network podcast. Be sure to stay tuned each and every week so you can stay connected, be inspired, and keep moving toward your best life by stripping away your limitations. And we will see you next week.